I wish every street in Huntington Beach had a Gwendolyn Runyard. She died in 2013 at the age of 90, leaving behind a remarkable treasure trove of memories inspired by Old Pirate Lane. From an above-ground well to historic Native American remains, from a legendary farmhouse to the palpable sense of community its residents maintain to this day, the stories of Old Pirate Lane reveal a wonderful world that still exists within Huntington Beach. I'm Chris Epting. History excites me, especially history that's waiting to be uncovered. I feel like a detective sometimes, sifting through clues, chasing down leads, and examining evidence. That's why I've written so many books about it. When you discover an untold story, it sparks the imagination, it connects you to the past, and sometimes it even helps you see into the future. Welcome to Hidden Huntington Beach. Gwendolyn Runyard's son, John, is the caretaker for much of this unique neighborhood's history. Our journey through time begins with him. John, we've been hanging out a little bit this morning, and just the sense on Old Pirate, I'm going to still call it Old Pirate Lane, but your neighbors come out, everyone's sharing stories and history. There really is something about this street that is historic, but also very neighborly. You've lived here for how long?
63 years.
63 years. So your parents found the lot.
They purchased the land in 55, built in 58.
And you were telling me you had horses.
Yeah, we had horses.
But everybody had. This was horse country.
That's right. There was 5 houses on this street with horses.
Meadowlark Airport sort of butted right up against the end of Old Pirate Lane, but there was no fence there, so you could ride clear through down to the beach?
That's right.
And this was your horse, this was like
This was the horse corral.
When did you stop having horses?
1969, I think we sold the horses. Everybody went to war, and there was nobody around to ride them.
But this is where the horses used to be. And
Yep.
this is the original gate and fencing and everything?
This is the original gate.
Your dad put that in, right?
Yeah.
And you've converted it into this magical garden. You're right up against the eucalyptus grove here, part of Norma Gibbs Park, but this is like your own slice of paradise back here.
Yeah, Mom loved the garden, so we have 2 orange trees, 2 avocados, a peach.
Yeah, but this is real hidden history here because, I mean, again, a former horse corral transformed into just this incredible little escape back here. Old Pirate Lane, what does it mean to you? I mean, you grew up here, your family grew up here. I know your mom, great poetess, amongst other things, historian, author. She loved it here. What does it mean to you to still live here on this street that feels like you've kind of escaped and gone back in time?
Well, I'm really fortunate to be able to be here because this is a wonderful spot. You know, it's larger than the average lot, and we're close to the ocean. And got the wonderful eucalyptus grove in back.
There aren't many places in Huntington Beach, I think, that are like this, that are, you know, so private and so protected, so lush and so beautiful, and yet this is where your horses were. You guys used to explore, you and your brother. Right by Warner and Graham, there was you were describing a big, like a quarry or a gravel pit, right? Talk about that.
Yeah, that was the sand pit that they'd taken all the sand and everything out of. And then the water table rose as the farming stopped. And so it created a lake at the bottom. There was crawdads down there, so we had crawdad fishing, and then we built rafts to go out.
Like your own adventure playground.
It was like our own adventure playground. It was awesome.
Again, to kind of give people an idea of what this area was like, right across the street where Meadowlark Golf Course is, your brother discovered something there. He was going to Marina High School one day back in, what, the 1960s or so?
Probably been in 63 or so.
And he found something on one part of the course where they were building a new home.
They were building homes on the other side, and he came across some bones, and he unearthed a skull. And so he took it to high school. And one of the teachers knew something about cleaning up the skull and dated it. And it turned out to be about 1,000 years old.
So for everybody, when we think about the Native American culture, it did kind of stretch beyond just where the coastal groups were by Bolsa Chica.
Yeah.
It came all the way back up here.
Oh, yeah.
And you were saying that Carr Park was
Carr
an
Park,
artisan.
had an artesian well at Carr Park, so they had water over there.
So that was an artesian well, and so that would have been obviously a water source
Right.
for people who lived up there more than 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Just amazing. On Old Pirate Lane, you had for years anyhow, until very recently, your own water supply. That's kind of historic too, right?
Right.
It's this mythical well.
In 55, when Mom found this property, there was a noisy above ground water well. She didn't want that, so she had the landowner move it across the street.
Your mom did that.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
well is still there. We're going to go look at it in just a minute because that's a piece of hidden history too. The fact that you had your own well for, almost 6 decades. There's a lot of history on this street. It's this little protected pocket of history. What was it like to grow up here for you? What are your feelings about the street today?
Well, it was a childhood dream back then, still is. There was oodles of places to play where you could build tree forts in the grove.
The
Back then,
Eucalyptus Grove, which your property, we can hear there's a murder of crows making themselves known today. You said that they're harassing an owl trying to get some sleep up there.
That's right.
There's a lot more to explore, including one of the oldest, most historic homes in Huntington Beach, which thanks to you, we're going to get a chance to go inside in a minute, right?
Yep.
Why don't we head back out, hang out with the neighbors a bit, and learn about the well.
Excellent.
So we've been hanging out here. I feel like I've been welcomed into this secret club, the Old Pirate Lane Club. You've all got great deep roots here. You've all contributed to the legacy of the place. You've lived here, Barbara, for how long?
Since 1976.
And your house is how old?
Well, I was told that it was 50 years old when we bought it. That's where the Nerios lived, and it was just a single-story
The Nerios who
small building.
ran the airport, which would be right behind us.
Right,
So you
exactly.
were describing over the years, in terms of community here, there were, volleyball games or tournaments? And
When we moved in 76, this was a dirt road. It's a private road, and it was maintained by the residents. So we used to have barbecues down at the end of the street and play volleyball in the middle of the street. If a car came, we just lifted up the net and the car would go.
And there was
go
a
on.
sign that would welcome you on Old Pirate Lane, right?
Yeah, it
maintained
wasn't
sign.
real welcoming because it said, this is a private street, adults and children at play. Please drive slowly because we like it that way, something like that. A lot of cars would come up and down this street just to look.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's a real charm about it, a little bit of mystique too. Is it true what would happen on Christmas mornings? You were saying people would go like
Yeah,
door to door
yeah.
and just kind of visit with each other and see who got what.
Christmas morning, about 7 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock on the door, and there's a young lady, Susan, and her dad, Chuck, and they're in their pajamas, which was kind of different for me. And I said, it's 7 o'clock. He said, well, come on, we're going to walk down the street. I said, well, I got to get dressed. He said, well, nobody gets dressed. We just walk down the street and we go to all the houses and see all the gifts and say hello, Merry Christmas and everything. And we started doing that. We used to end up at the last house on the left, the Meniere's, and she always had a nice, huge egg omelet dish for us and homemade cinnamon buns that were really, really good. So that was my introduction to the whole street.
I guess things do start to change. There was an iconic pepper tree that was here forever, right?
Down by that telephone pole.
In
down there.
2000, I believe, that tree went away.
And it had been there a long time.
Oh yeah, and it was a great place because we had a little fort at the top, and so it was great for the kids. We'd all meet out there because it was the gathering spot for the kids. There was a little rope swing there.
The sense of community is so palpable when you're just hanging out and talking to all of you, watching as cars go by and everybody checking out why we're here, for one thing.
Yeah.
But you let them know it's okay, and everybody seems like they've got each other's back. Is that what the community's like here?
I think so, and we were going to talk about the well. That's one of the things. Where 13 of the houses were on the private well. I think we were told it was one of the last in Orange County, and like the street, it's privately owned, which meant when the pump went bad, all the neighbors would get together and work together to replace the pump or fix whatever was wrong with
Pull
it.
pipe or,
Yeah.
All right, so on that note, you're the well expert. So why don't we lead over here? We can talk about what you lovingly refer to as Old Pirate Water.
because we had all the professionals that we needed. We had the 2 doctors at the end of the street. Husband and wife were both doctors. We had a nurse.
You had engineers,
We had
doctors,
all the
nurses.
engineers. We had pilots. I'm a retired attorney, so we were able to pretty much take care of ourselves.
Self-sustaining
That's
community.
right.
Yes, yes. Except we didn't have a farm, but
Farm animals.
we had a lot of farm animals. We had a couple of horses,
There were chickens on the street when we moved in.
a lot of chickens. 2 or 3 houses had bees.
Beekeeper. They raised bees.
Beekeepers, so you got fresh honey for Christmas regularly. That was always neat.
One of the things I liked was the veterans on the street. You know, Roy Grazer was here. He was infantry in World War II, Battle of the Bulge.
Wow.
Your dad did 7 landings in the Pacific
Yeah.
as a Marine.
Marines.
Art was Seabees. So that was sort of neat. That was a nice bit of heritage, a nice bit of history too.
So you had those stories woven into the street.
Right.
You'd get to hear veterans recount their missions and things. How remarkable. What a great street to live on. I love the fact, though, that this really was like the life source of the street. I mean, this is where you all got all of your water.
I used to have Boy Scout meetings here on the street, and the parents would always ask for Old Pirate water. They thought it was exceptionally good.
Everyone talks about the quality of the water that came out of it.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
true? You remember it as being?
It was good water.
We had 1 meter on the water as it came out, and the water costs were split equally among the 13 families that were hooked up to the
13
well.
houses?
Right. There's a break point. If you get more than 13, you get up into 15, then it's a whole nother set of regulations and tests and training and things to be able to have the well.
Would you ever find like one family using too much water? Was there ever that family that
Yes.
would like, take too many showers? There had to be, right? I mean, if it spikes one month, it's like, well, we know.
Well, some people have huge pools, you know. So
There you, oh, so there-
we'd see the uptick in the bill.
and it stopped being used, what, about a year or 2 ago, right?
Right. We had a really heavy rain, about 10 inches of rain locally, measured by our gauges. And because the well casing, steel casing, was put in 55, it has some perforations in it. We believe the groundwater soaked down and soaked through the casings and contaminated us, made us a little high on the nitrates. And because now there's a sewer line down the middle of the street, it'd be very difficult to get permits to either repair or replace the well casing as it is.
So things just changed. It's sort
Yeah.
of like there's no more airport. The pepper tree is gone. The well is gone. I guess, I mean, a little bit, even though you still maintain a real great sense of history back here, some things, time just marches on, huh?
Yes,
Maybe it becomes a museum piece. We talk a lot about the need for a local history museum to be a great photo op for people. The original Old Pirates Lane, water tank could be amazing.
Yep.
But no, it's another great piece of the puzzle back here that bound the community together. And again, as time marches on, we see things start to fade, and this obviously is no longer needed. But what a great testament to time of how many families it served.
It served us well.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for teaching us the hidden history of the Old Pirate Water.
the Old Pirate Water
Great
Company.
story. The Old Pirate Water Company. You could probably bottle that today and market that.
Well, there's probably still water in here, right, Mike?
Probably is.
If you want more hidden history, check out our Facebook group, which is simply Hidden Huntington Beach. We've got over 15,000 members there sharing stories and home movies and all kinds of great things. So hope you enjoy that, and we'll see you soon. Another edition of Hidden Huntington Beach. All right, we'll see you later,
Okay, well, nice meeting you, and thanks for coming out here, and good luck
pleasure.
in all your projects.
We'll keep you
You're
posted.
welcome on Old Private Lane anytime.
I'm going to come over for dinner tomorrow
Come
night,
on,
okay?
come on. Hey, second to the last house on the end, Arthur.
You say
at your
that.
service.
You say that now. But wait till I show up. Hanging out, just chewing the fat with the neighbors like that is another unforgettable experience because it reminds you that history is about people, and those folks on that street they're making history on that street. They've lived there for decades. They're a part of the legacy. So to hear their stories firsthand is you know, again, there's nothing like hearing something firsthand from people. And I love the fact that they know the history of their street, they embrace the history of their street, but the fact that they're so willing to share it is also a really nice experience.